Let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome to Boxing Unwrapped.
It's Boxing Unwrapped. Two guys with bigger mouths than Anthony Fowler. I'm Ryan.
I'm Andrew.
And welcome to our show, What the F is the Boxing News, guys? Where we give you all the stuff you need to know from last week and all the stuff you need to know coming up. But Andy, do you want to tell the good people what we've got in store for them?
Yeah, and you did make reference to it very, very subtly there. So we'll have a little bit of a chat about what the F are the results from last week. We're going to look at what the F are the fights this weekend. And my goodness, that was a research thesis all in itself, trying to find anything that people will know anything about. My goodness, it's sparse this week. Rather less difficult to find was what the F went wrong last week. A few things to go over there. Random news. There's a fair bit to cover there. And we'll have, of course, some grinds my gears action.
Good stuff.
And finish up with some listener corner.
Well, let's dive right in to what the F are the results from last week.
Do you think this is one of those occasions where Sky just kind of go, or Hearn just goes, oh yeah, that worked pretty well. That was pretty good, wasn't it? Even the haters are going to be like, that was pretty good.
I think so. I think he's probably like, this is one of the ones where like he's like, I'm a fucking genius. You know, but. I don't know, should we maybe start out with a discussion of something that's taken over our old friend David Price versus Kash Ali?
Yeah, let's start with that. Let's start with that. What would you like to say, Ryan? Tell me what
I would like to say that I'm disappointed in Kash Ali because I think that if he hadn't bit David Price, he still had a puncher's chance. He still had a good chance, actually. Like, David Price is so, like, stationary and, like, he doesn't throw any punches at all. Has no ability to use his reach. So, like, you know, I think Kash Ali let himself down because, like, I don't know why because he bit David Price in the second round. Like, on the neck. Mm-hmm. And then, like, they had this weird tumble, and he falls on the ground, and he fucking bites him, like, under the nipple. Like, how kinky you getting, Kash Ali?
Ali did show a lot of appetite for the fight, to be fair.
Oh! But, like, imagine having a nibble on David Price's sweaty underboob.
I'd rather
but
not.
How fucking desperate are you when that's your go-to? All right, this is my strategy. Like, I did see an interview with him afterwards, and he said like he was very disappointed. Like, he just let it all bubble over and get to him. Blah 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 blah. Whereas David,
he kind of lost his shit.
David Price is saying like, oh, it's actually because you know he couldn't hack it, and I think it's maybe somewhere in between the two.
I think he just, I don't know, maybe he was trying to psych himself up and he kind of like overdid it in terms of, or he didn't manage to channel his aggression properly. But just to pick up on a point you made about like Price being relatively easy, not talking about nibbling him, but relatively easy to hit. But I thought the first, was it 2 or 3 rounds, Price was doing kind of what you would expect. He was kind of the one landing the meaningful shots. He was using his size and reach advantage and keeping Ali off him. And then he kind of, the last couple of rounds that they fought, Ali was enjoying quite a lot of success, I thought. Like, he was getting to land quite a lot of like meaningful punches, and Price had sort of like started to retreat a little bit. And I think the reason behind this is David Price, even more so now than he's had before, has a chronic issue with his cardio.
Oh, I mean, he seems to tire so quickly.
I think so. And I think actually he stopped performing exactly as he knew he should after 3 rounds, because I think now he potentially only has the cardio to fight 3 rounds properly.
Yes.
And that's
I agree. What is next for David Price? Because he can't fight anyone who would take him into anything longer than 5 rounds. You know, Kash Ali was like scraping the barrel, really.
And actually, as the fight progressed up until the point where Ali kind of went crazy, but in the latter stages of the fight, it looked like he was starting to get quite a good foothold, and I think he's rotten. I think he's a rotten fighter. So I don't know. I don't think Price has got any more. I think he's just he's got like a puncher's chance for the first. Do you know what he is? He's a modern day Corey Sanders.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying that he wants the winner of Lucas Brown, Dave Allen.
Yeah, I mean that's a fight that would have a much higher profile than the quality of the opponents or the quality of the participants deserves. So that's perfect.
Yeah, but I think Dave Allen would destroy David Price. Yeah, I think he would. Have you seen him? The new version 2, Dave Allen. He's in shape for this fight, by the way.
I heard he's taking it.
It really seriously. Like, he's in proper good shape, and like if Lucas Brown is getting knocked down in fucking Trump Towers, I mean, like by some fucking nobody, then actually I think he's on to a winner. And like, you know, if like Dave Allen can last, like he's got staying power even when he's super fat. So
he's not a good fit for Pricey. Yeah, well, anyway, it would be. I'm sure it would garner a lot of attention. I think it's the perfect thing for Price to do to fight someone where, like I say, the profile is much higher than the quality, and that's what that fight would be inevitably, especially if it's Dave Allen. They get loads of press and stuff, but I think Price is definitely on the slide. He looks really out of gas so early and without really having put in a lot of work.
No.
So it doesn't bode well at all for given his age, etc.
We'll talk now about Joe Hughes versus Robbie Davis Jr. I really liked this fight, actually. Davis Jr., I actually, if I'm honest, I didn't have him winning the fight. No, I had Joe Hughes winning the fight.
Was it one of the cards was far too wide.
Yeah.
It was because it was close and it was competitive. I think most people gave it Davis Jr., but not by much. But because it was very
like
competitive.
At first, I thought Davis Jr. was going to take it easily, but actually Joe Hughes was really going for it. But I thought it was a great little fight. I thought it was a really, really nice little fight. It was stacking like a good undercard for this, actually.
Yeah, the card work is one of these nights, I think, where there's something either like entertaining or interesting or controversial or whatever about each of the fight. You know, like there were a lot of fights that was like a lot of talking points and a lot of value. It was a really nice card for a normal TV or a non-pay-per-view card. I thought it was really good, really entertaining.
Now I am just gonna have to get out the salt and pepper, Andy, because I have a hat to
Go
eat.
On. How would you like your hat served? Boiled, braised, or fried?
I think I'll take it the Scottish special, deep fried. Actually, please.
A deep fried hat. See if it softens it up any.
Maybe. So if you can't guess, guys, we're talking about Fitzgerald, Scott Fitzgerald versus Anthony Fowler. Now, I thought Fowler would take this easily.
So did the bookies, and so did most of the commentators and analysts. In fairness to you, Ryan, in fairness to
me, the only thing is, when I saw Anthony Fowler walking in, he looked like the fucking cat that got the cream. And I just went, he thinks he's won this fight before he's even got in the ring, and that is never a good look for anybody. I think he switched off before it even started. You know, he was walking in, acting the fucking big man and stuff, and like Fitzgerald, you know, really held up. He was really tough in that fight.
He was, and what I thought was impressive alongside his like physical toughness was actually you could see how composed he stayed under fire. Fitzgerald, like he didn't really like unravel under pressure, and especially in the early stages when the first few rounds Fowler was looking really good, and Fitzgerald looked a bit like out of his depth almost, but he didn't panic, he didn't freak out, he just kept composed, and he knew that the tide would turn and he would be able to come back into it more in the later stages. So super composed, super good game.
And he managed to come through the 11th round where he got rocked.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So I mean, really well done.
Yeah, he's tough. He's tough. And I thought he should have won it by maybe a couple of rounds. I thought nearly all the latter rounds he was the dominant fighter.
By a long way,
so, yeah, I had him. I think he should have been up by at least a couple. So I don't know. I thought one of the judges scored it to Fowler by a round. I thought that was a bit. I don't really know how he got that, including the knockdown, including him getting knocked down in the last round. But very nice. I think they can both come again. I don't think it's like because they're young and they were both unbeaten, weren't they, in relatively early stages. These are the kind of fights you want to see, though, isn't it? Like if there's a chance for kind of like upcoming prospects to fight each other before they get to world level, and for it not to be like catastrophic that they lose their role.
Totally, I agree.
And obviously they'll come again and they'll develop.
No, I agree.
Coming in further, but to be honest, I thought it was quite like. I'm not best placed to do like a super detailed technical analysis, but it felt like a high level fight. It felt like a quality affair. Do you know what I mean? I thought they both looked like really high level operators.
Yeah, it wasn't. You know what was different about it actually is it wasn't an A side B side fight. These were both A sides, and it was one of these things where actually both of these guys wanted it. Both of them had skill. And they both wanted to win for reasons. So there wasn't like a clear winner throughout. It wasn't a levels fight.
No, it wasn't. I think people thought maybe it would be, but it wasn't at all. Which puts it probably rather nicely in contrast to what was in fact the headline fight, Eggington versus Smith.
This was tough to watch.
You can be too tough for your own good, can you?
Totally. Like I think like. Although the ref stopped it, I think the ref stopped it at the same time that Eggington's corner actually threw in the towel. Because, I mean, Liam Smith was absolutely unstoppable.
He looked really good. Strong and accurate. Really, really good.
I think it's important to kind of caveat, like, Liam Smith has fought some really high level guys
every time, but he has fought them.
Yeah, but he has fought them. So he's got a different level of experience, But I think Eggington definitely found his level.
He's been beaten several times, I think. So he's got a lot of durability and a lot of toughness, but not technically or able enough or clever enough or really carrying enough power. Smith just kind of walked through him, I thought. But it's the kind of thing. I mean, Smith he has been in with high level guys. It was Smith that was in not that long ago with Munguia, wasn't he? The monster, and I think he went the distance, didn't he, with him? I mean, he got kind of battered about a bit, but Munguia is a monster. But he's obviously like a world class level guy. Smith got beat up by Canelo a few years ago, didn't he? So he's been in with the best really. So he knows what to expect. So, but definitely that was clearly like a levels fight. And I think Smith probably wants another shot at world level. See if there was any easier pickings. But I mean, super welter's not too There's no donkeys holding a belt, really. It's kind of a tough one, really.
Certainly not.
Maybe we'll get one more shot.
Do you want to inform us about the event in Bilbao last weekend?
Well, yeah, I do, and I don't really know. I can't 100%. We're kind of going quite a lot of episodes about sort of to try and retain relevance to this. But anyway, David Avanesian beat Kerman Laraja, and Avanesian won in a 9th round stoppage, which was an upset in front of Laraga, who was expected to win, and it was in Bilbao. And you know how we talked about, going right back to the point about mentioning this, was in relation to a previous episode where we talked about how poorly supported boxing is in Spain. But this fight took place in Bilbao, which I assume is Laraja's hometown, in front of a crowd of 10,000.
Pretty decent showing, like.
Pretty decent indeed, yeah. So 10,000 watched the home favourite be defeated. Avanesian was pretty good, apparently. I haven't actually watched it because it wasn't televised, but he was putting his punches together and looked like a power puncher. So nice. And
then we had the Philly card on Box Nation, which was Ngumbu versus Gvozdyk. For Gvozdyk's light heavyweight title defense.
Yeah, and we talked about how if we talked in the last episode that if Ngumbu had won, he would have become the light heavyweight lineal champion, as Gvozdyk has that status just now. But alas, sadly, in his first world title shot at 37, it wasn't to be for Ngumbu, and Gvozdyk laboured to a 5th round stoppage when apparently towards the end Ngumbu had leg cramps, and that was kind of why it was stopped. But Gvozdyk looked good Gvozdyk won without looking good. He didn't really impress anyone against what is a fairly limited opponent for the level. So hopefully he's talking now about wanting to unify. So, and if he wants to unify, whoever he fights will be a good fight. So let's bring it on. But let's get some super fights in the light heavies, please.
That would be nice.
Talking about Beterbiev, him fighting Beterbiev, which would be a interesting one. There was also something of a card from California on DAZN.
Oh yeah, there was. My boy Ryan Garcia versus Joves Lopez.
Keeping on making them waves, Ryan.
Man, boys, like, he's dangerous, man. He's dangerous. Absolutely dangerous. 2nd round stoppage against Lopez. I think he's going to do well. If he keeps, this isn't like a super high level operator he was fighting, but, he needs to go through these early stoppages. It's good.
Yeah, no, agree. I think we mentioned last week that there was one of his more recent fights that he'd sort of struggled a little bit, and he did struggle to a majority decision against Carlos Morales in September of last year. But this was him well and truly back on the bandwagon with a prompt 2nd round stoppage.
Yeah.
He looked good doing it. He does look good. He's a good looking fighter, both like photogenically and in terms of like how the sort of movement and how he finishes things. He looked good.
Well, let's move on then to probably the shortest this will ever be in this section, but what are the fights this weekend?
Yeah, I was going to leave this entirely blank, and I thought, I can't do it, right? So then I started trolling through BoxRec, and I know we've been fairly scathing at various points about BoxRec, but one thing I have to say in their defence is their list of scheduled fights is incredibly comprehensive.
It is, yeah, it is.
I mean, it's literally... I mean, it's amazing how many fights actually take place in the world, and how, like, basically 98% of them no one will ever hear about. Yeah. They're so obscure, but they have pages and pages and pages of fights from all over the world that happen basically every day.
Yeah.
Anyway, the one that I found to pick out for all you crazy fight fans, which you will not be able to watch unless you can somehow get your hands on Polsat Sport HD.
Lovely.
Which is obviously a satellite channel in Poland.
Okay.
Unless you can get your hands on that by hook or by crook. And if you can watch Marius Wach versus previously talked about but has not had a fight since after his ignominious defeat, Martin Bakole.
Oh,
So
right, okay.
This is fairly random. Wach, if you remember, is a rather like monstrous but also ponderous kind of getting on heavyweight gatekeeper type figure. And Martin Bakole was the highly touted Glasgow, Airdrie based, not even Glasgow based, Airdrie based prospect who came unstuck through a mixture of injury and being outfoxed by Michael Hunter on a Channel 5 card towards the tail end of last year, I went to see. So anyway, it'll be curious to see how Bakole gets on, because he was being very, very highly touted to make it to the top of the heavyweight division. And he's jumping back in against Wach. This is a pretty reasonably... well, it's certainly not it's not a gimme fight. So if he wins and wins in style, I think his bandwagon will start to have much more momentum behind it once more.
Good stuff. Right, well, I'm sure in the coming weeks that will get fuller, but let's move on to what the F went wrong last week.
There's a few things to mention. Everyone's favourite person who makes sexually inappropriate advances towards reporters, Kubrat
Yes.
Pulev. You actually said that the fight and the aftermath was in Vegas, but it wasn't. It was in California.
Oh, I thought it was in Vegas.
No, somewhere, I can't remember where exactly, but it was in California. He was fighting.
Right, okay.
So there you go.
Okay.
We talked about Nathan Gorman in not particularly glowing terms because of his like powder puff punching.
Yes.
And you made the point that he's no Tyson Fury in terms of his height and reach and movement. And so I went away and checked. He's 6'3".
Right.
So he's not got a towering reach advantage. So he's going for a heavyweight. That's kind of, I guess, on the small side, really, isn't it? So, yeah, he's going to have to find another way to win. 6'3" is not big at all, is
not
it?
Really.
For
It's not.
Not for a heavyweight.
If you think that Callum Smith is 6'3",
Exactly.
he's super middleweight.
I know, it's not tall. He's going to be at a disadvantage reach-wise a lot of the time when he gets to fight the big boys. We talked a little bit about, you remember there was the Sambo and Jordan McCorry fight?
Yes.
And we were sort of talking about how they would get on versus higher level opponents.
Yes.
So McCorry is ranked 8th in the world according to BoxRec at Super Feather, and Bowen is ranked 3rd in the UK behind only Scott Quigg, who we know is a high-level operator, and Martin Ward. So that's kind of where he sits.
Right, okay.
According to BoxRec, whatever. And then it seems to be happening to me again to a lesser extent, but I'm still not over my man flu, and I was aware by the end of the last episode I just started making noises a bit like a velociraptor.
Well,
So I apologise to the listeners.
we'll let you off.
Thanks. And I think that was about it for kind of continuation / what the F went wrong.
Right, well, then let's move on to some random news.
Why do I keep talking about Manuel Char, Ryan?
I don't
Why do I have to keep talking about Manuel Char?
know, man. Don't know.
Because Manuel Char keeps talking about Manuel Char.
I know. Fucking Manuel Char, man.
Manuel Char. Should use this code for when something annoys you. For like out in a pub and someone says something really annoying, just be like, oh, Manuel Char.
Fucking Manuel Char. Manuel Char that fucking thing, didn't he? He gets right on my Manuel Char, that boy.
I wish you wouldn't be so quite so Manuel Char. Anyway, he was chatting, basically saying he has no interest in fighting Dillian Whyte. And he's saying Dillian Whyte is irrelevant, and Char doesn't want to fight him, and he's not good enough to fight Char, and Char only wants Fury or Joshua, the real fights in the UK. If I'm going to get my head panned in, I want it to be for a giant as opposed to a large payday.
Right.
I really hope he's got a sense of irony when he talks about not being relevant, and he's self-aware enough to realise his own precarious position. But I don't think he does.
I don't think he does.
So anyway, Manuel Char running his mouth,
as only Manuel Char can do.
Klitschko's definitely coming back.
No, he's not. April Fool, bitches.
I heard stuff about it today as well.
Yeah, nah.
What's that?
It's fake news.
Is he not?
He's
coming
not
back?
coming back. It was an April Fool's that was done by like a Ukrainian newspaper as a wind up.
Oh, nice.
But
Nice.
what I really loved about this was Pricey jumped right on the fucking bandwagon and said he'd fight
Yes, I saw
Klitschko.
that.
What a lad.
He would as
fucking,
well.
Of course he fucking would. He'd fight a fucking paper bag for a payday.
I'd give him the advantage for the first few rounds, but you know.
I've got a little bit of news update as well. So my grind your gears last week was the future of Olympic boxing. And it turns out that everybody's favourite heroin dealer, Gafir Ramanov, has stepped down as the head of the International Boxing Association and has been replaced by Moroccan Mohamed Mustashani.
Okay.
So the Uzbek Ramanov has quit pending the resolution of some political issues. So
Right.
it seems like this is done in effort to make sure that boxing will be in the Tokyo Games.
And hopefully it works.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I guess it's going to rumble on, isn't it? This is going to rumble like a Brexit.
Yeah, it totally is, man. Totally is.
In terms of like in out, shake it all about.
Exactly. So who knows? It might happen. It might not.
But fingers crossed. I'm now doubting, because I think maybe I did some research yesterday. I'm now doubting whether everything I've got random news is fake news.
Oh yeah, and also Dave Allen is not leaving to become a professional wrestler. By the way.
Right. Well, that one escaped me, that particular nugget. So I didn't
like he
find that
came
one.
out saying that after his fight with Lucas Brown, he was going to go and do professional wrestling, and people lost their shit about it. And then it's just an April Fool. Of course, he's fucking not.
That's pretty
But it is
funny.
quite funny.
There's a lot of chat about, again, with the proviso that my research was probably all conducted yesterday. Errol Spence is going to fight Sean Porter.
Nice, very nice.
Lot of chat about this being rumoured for September. Porter apparently is saying it's going to happen. So I hope that's not fake news. No. That would be interesting. And also, July the 13th or July the 20th for Keith Thurman versus Manny Pacquiao.
Does anyone really want to see this?
Yeah, I think a lot of people do, but I agree with you. This is not like a. Oh well, on Thurman's last performance, and remembering that Pacquiao had the stinker against Jeff
Horn, yeah.
Pacquiao, we know, is relatively on the decline, although by winning his last two fights, he's kind of making it look as if he's not, especially because Broner made him look really good. Thurman had a really super patchy last display following a very long injury layoff, so we don't know how much he'll recover or if he's kind of permanently had something taken from him in terms of his performance. So I think they're probably both looking at it going, it's going to be a massive payday because apart from Spence, Thurman's probably one of the bigger names he could fight. And they're both looking at it probably going, do you know what, if Pacquiao is a bit in decline, or if Pacquiao looking at it going, oh, well, Thurman looked crap in his last fight. So they both probably feel it's winnable.
Yeah.
So winnable keeps the momentum going, and obviously it's a really substantial payday. Pacquiao's not going to get in a ring with Spence.
No.
I don't think.
He'd die.
He made it pretty clear he wasn't keen on it when he went, maybe we could fight at the end of Spence's domination of Garcia.
Yeah.
Pacquiao started off back in the day a lot smaller than Garcia did, it should be worth noting.
Yeah.
Although, obviously, he's been successful at welter. Anyway, it seems to be quite far along with getting that shored up, which is one of the reasons apparently the Spence Porter fight would have to be like a fair bit back from Thurman Pacquiao because they would both be pay-per-view fights in the States. So that's why they're talking about September for Spence Porter.
Right. Okay.
Cecilia Brickhouse has been talking about having a fight. She's saying like 2019 will be the year that she has the big fight, and she's, I guess, widely regarded as the women's queen or the pound for pound women's best. And talking about a fight with either Katie Taylor or Chris Cyborg, who people that follow Just Boxing may or may not know because she's not a boxer.
Oh, is she an MMA?
She's MMA.
Right, okay.
She's pretty dominant MMA fighter.
Right, okay.
Shit hot MMA fighter. But I mean, I think we all know what happens if you have an MMA fighter and a boxer. If it's a boxing match, the MMA fighter is going to get beaten and beaten comprehensively.
Yeah,
it's just stupid. Anyway, I hope it's not that because I think that kind of cheapens the movement or the progression of women's boxing.
Yeah, exactly. Like turn it into some sort of like Frankenstein fight.
Yep. Katie Taylor is naturally quite a bit lighter, I think. She's a division or two lighter. And then the other way to the mega fight would be Clarissa Shields, but she's a division or two higher than Brickhouse. So I think she either has to go up or down and fight one of those two for it to be like a mega fight.
Yeah.
Anyway, hope something happens. Good.
Yeah. All right, Andy. Well, with that in mind, do you want to tell me what's grinding your gears this week?
You know what really grinds my gears?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a little one, and I don't know if this is like a bit harsh to say, but if you do search in Google for say you've got you heard something about a particular boxing story and you do a Google search on it.
Yes.
Then you might get different websites that come up and bring some articles regarding said topic.
Yes.
Well, one of the ones that consistently appears near the top of the searches is Boxing News 24.
Yeah.
And I think it's an American one, and it's almost just written as blog postings, but it seems to score really well in search engine optimization sort of stuff. It seems to come up on the top really, really frequently.
I think it's because no boxing website knows how to utilize SEO.
Right.
Basically.
That's probably it. And they have a lot of big, nice, pretty pictures on their front page, on the web page. But I mean, it's just I don't know, I have some concerns. I have some concerns about the journalism involved on this webpage, and some of the grammar also concerns me quite deeply, and also some of the stuff that's just utter speculation that they talk about how fights that haven't happened will go almost round by round, and I'm like, you can't, this is not, it's not saying I think this person will win. They present these as facts about future events. I'm like, what is this? I think it's very much on the side of let's say things that are controversial or provoking, but it just I think it's gone too far, and I think that it's certainly the articles I read were incredibly poorly written. I was like, this should not be what people's impression about boxing.
Right, okay.
Should not be based on what they're saying. I just think it could be done an awful lot better. So apologies if you're a fan or associated with, but some of the stuff there is just pretty ropey, guys. Pretty ropey.
We if we had more time, I would say we should do a website, an aggregation site of actual news. But I think that would be turning into a full-time job.
It would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice though, because you could properly have the results all categorized properly, the schedule all categorized properly, and the news all categorized properly.
Yeah, totally. I know, and have primary and secondary sources and stuff. It'd be fucking. It would change the game in boxing news. To be honest,
shifting the paradigm.
It would shift the paradigm. It would.
Well, if only we need a benefactor.
I know, a rich benefactor. If any of you know a rich benefactor, please let us know.
So that was my grinds my gears this week. So Ryan, would you like to tell me this week what grinds your gears?
Do you know what, mate? I am actually gonna flip it up a little bit this week.
You never flip it.
I'm not even lying. I'm gonna do a floats my boat.
No way.
I really am, and it's because I am so impressed with something, right? And this is like a boxer that seems to have done not only self-reflection, but having a sense of humor with himself.
Oh.
So
this
is great, man. Anthony Fowler yesterday uploaded a picture to his Instagram, and it's a picture of him with a tiny little pie in front of him, saying that I think it's only right I serve myself some humble pie after all the talking I did the weekend. One thing I would say is we've all been down at some points, but it's how we rise that defines us. But like, I thought that was actually, I think that's, you would rarely see a boxer who's spoken so much shit come out and be like, well, actually, that's a bit embarrassing, really, isn't it? Because I have spoken a lot of shit and I got beat, And I thought, well, actually, well done, because he could have been a prick about it and been like, well, you know what, like,
I thought I won the fight, or I was injured.
Yeah, I had the dehydration, blah, 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 all that. Because the guy's big for a super welterweight, by the way. Like, the fact that he manages to make weight is
big.
Incredible.
He looks heavy set, doesn't he? He looks like a heavy man. If you know what
totally.
I mean.
But then to kind of come out with no excuses and then like kind of semi-apologize for all the shit he talked. I just thought, well done on him, actually. I thought that really did float my boat.
Nice. I think it would be hard to do as well, given just quite how far he took it about, his whole, like, you put up the clip about him putting on a masterclass, etc.
Yeah.
And he just, he looked super cocky, so that would have been tough to put up and been like, I got it all wrong, I'm a dick. So very nice. Yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad he did that.
Right, well, guys, that is our episode of What the F is the Boxing News. So look out for our episode later in the week. It is going to be super special for you. If you would like a little taster, it is Who the F Are Boxing's Unlikely Champions. And it is a fucking good, like, old school episode, so I'm pretty sure you guys will all enjoy it. But with that in mind, guys, it's goodbye from me, Ryan.
And goodbye from me, Andrew.